Hello viewers, welcome back to our lecture series on research methodologies. Today we have a very exciting topic of discussion, which is semiotics. Now, semiotics is a process of cracking codes and solving puzzles. We have with us in the studio Mrs. Shubhadas Mollik, who is a faculty of IIT Kolkata.
Hello viewers.
I'm Shantan Mukherjee, who is a student of media science. And tell us, ma'am, why do we need semiotics in media?
We need semiotics not only in media, but in every walk of life. Because our life is full of signs. Okay? And we have to know how to read those signs. Now this semiotics was, as you can see, there is a nice poster of semiotics. So it gives, at a glance, what all this semiotics consists of. And this study, semiotics, is essentially a study of sign systems. Okay, and how these sign systems make meaning in our everyday existence.
Okay.
Therefore, semiotics can be used in architecture, on the food that you eat, by fashion designers, and in every profession, in every walk of life. Okay, because everywhere these signs are there. Now, this study of the sign systems was actually initiated by two pioneers. One was the Swiss linguistic de Saussure, and the other was the American philosopher Charles Peirce. Okay, so they were more or less contemporary, and one person he called the study semiology, the other person called it semiotics. Okay, so more or less the same thing, but today these two are blended, merged together, and this entire academic discipline of semiotics have developed from these two thoughts given out by the pioneers. Now, since semiotic is a study of sign systems, what is a sign? A sign consists of two components. There is a signifier and there is a signified. Okay. So, the signifier is that, what de Saussure said, that signifier is the sound image. Okay, sound, audio or image. That means it's a spoken word, or it's an audio signal, or it's a written word, or it's a photograph, or it's a video, whatever. So it's a sound image. That's the signifier. And that
whatever we say.
And that signifies a concept. And that signifies a concept or an idea, which is the signified. Like you see here, this is a chair kept here. Okay. And just behind this, there is the image of the chair kept there. So this image of the chair is the signifier, and this is signifying this actual object signified. Okay. Or next, as you see here, the word dog is the signifier. And what is the signified? This idea of the dog. Okay, so the signified may be an object, it may be an action, it may be an adjective, it may be a thought, abstract thought, whatever. So that's why signified is a concept, and signifier is a sound image. You signify either as a spoken word, or as a written word, or as an image, or as a drawing or cartoon or whatever. Understood? Now the signifier, there are three types of signifiers. One set of signifiers is called icon, as you see here. This is an icon. Another is index, and third is the symbol. All right. Now, icon means that there is a similarity, there is a resemblance to the concept. Okay, like here, man, woman. So you know that it's a woman because it resembles a woman. Okay, that's an icon. Index is it's like this is a photograph. It's a proof of existence. Okay, so a photograph has been taken, that means he was there in front of the camera. It's a proof of existence. So it's an index. So index is always a proof of existence, like my angutha chap. Okay, thumb print. That is the index of my existence. Or supposing there is smoke, it is the index of there is fire, or there is some human habitation. Understood? So index is a proof of existence. It doesn't have similarity. It has some association with the signified, but it doesn't have similarity in look with the signified. They need not necessarily have similarity in look with the signified. Okay, so that is an index. And symbol is an abstract thing. Now, a symbol may have a similarity, like say justice. Symbol of justice is scales. Okay, that is the symbol of justice. Okay, so there is some kind of similarity with the idea of justice. Okay, so it may have, or it need not have. It may be a totally abstract thing, like DOG is a symbol. Okay, it doesn't have any bearing, any kind of resemblance or anything with the idea of the dog. Understood?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore the symbols are abstract.
Okay.
All right, so therefore icon bears similarity to the signified, index has some kind of an association with the signified, and symbol is it's an arbitrary and abstract symbol of the signified. Okay. So which you have to know, because unless and until you know, okay, this is female, this is male, you have to know it. Understood?
Yes.
But whereas here you don't have to know it. You know, I mean, just by the look you
Yes.
can make out. Okay. So therefore, supposing I take a photograph. Now tell me, if photograph is a signifier,
Yes.
but is it an icon or is it an index?
It should be an index, won't it?
It is also an icon because it
Why?
bears resemblance.
Okay.
Understood?
Okay,
So a
yes.
photograph is an icon as well as an index.
Okay, it's a combination of two of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the signifiers can be a combination of the two also. Charles Sanders Peirce, he had said the universe is profused with signs. There are signs all around us. Okay. And see, here is an example. This is what Sherlock Holmes used to do actually.
What?
The cubic capacity of the hat. Somebody's hat is kept here, it's a big hat. That means it's for a big head. That means it's the hat of an intelligent person. Okay?
Okay.
It is a good quality hat, but it is old, which may mean that the person, his fortune is declining, he cannot buy a new hat. Okay? He could afford a expensive hat, but he cannot buy another new hat. Hat has not been brushed in weeks. Okay? It's dusty. So he has nobody to take care of him. Okay? Then dust on the hat is brown house dust. That means the man stays more or less indoors most of the time. And wax stains from the candles are there on the hat. That means there are frequent power cuts maybe, or there is no electricity in his house. Electricity has been cut off maybe. So from that hat, there are so many signifiers in that hat from which you can draw inferences.
Okay.
Understood? And this is exactly what Sherlock Holmes used to do. So therefore, when we are semioticians looking out for signs and trying to interpret signs, in a way we are also like detectives.
Okay.
Understood? And unless and until you interpret it as a sign, then the sign doesn't exist. I mean, unless and until you look into it, it's just a hat. Oh, it's just another hat. It remains a hat. Understood? But the moment you try to look for it and try to interpret it, draw your inferences, then it becomes a signifier.
We see the signs.
And then we start seeing the signs.
Yes.
Okay, so the signs exist only when they are seen and interpreted as signs.
Okay.
Understood? So therefore, because it is a signifier, I mean, there are so many signs, you can actually play with signs or create signs to mislead people or to tell lies.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, wig. Okay,
Achha,
that
yes.
means you are hiding your baldness. High heel shoes, as if you are tall. You dye your hair, so you are made to look younger. You hang a stethoscope, people will think you are a doctor. Okay, you play with words and tell white lies like Ashwattama Hato iti gojo. Mahabharata,
Yes.
you know. So
Yes.
that was a white lie. You play with words. Understood? So therefore, now once you are aware of the signs, you can actually create signs to mislead people.
Okay.
Understood? So you can play with signs, and that's exactly what we do in media, and that's why the signs are so important in media studies, because media is a construct. Any media product, whether it is a news or whether it is a movie or an advertisement, it's a construct. Understood? So it is, signs are created, signs are embedded into the media text, which the receiver has to deconstruct and make meaning of.
Okay.
Understood? So that's why semiotics is so important in media studies. So when you are making meaning through signs, okay, then two kinds of meaning are possible. One is connotation, the other is denotation. Now denotation is the straightforward meaning. Okay. So like this, the mobile phone is lying here, so it's a mobile phone denotation. Okay?
Okay.
But connotation means I see it's a smartphone, Android phone. Okay, and it is this size, so that the owner of this phone is actually can afford a phone like this. Okay, so those
Okay.
will all be connotative.
Okay.
Understood? So connotative interpretations and connotative communication is inferred, it is figurative. Okay, the meaning is suggested, and it exists in the realm of myth.
Okay.
Whereas denotative it is a literal meaning, it's obvious, it describes and exists in the realm of existence. So it's a mobile phone is a mobile phone is a mobile phone. So
But
like
if
that.
the scratches and the company of the phone are connotations, then how are they myth? We can see them in front of us.
No, we can see that. Now, myth
Yes.
means what you are constructing with it. To who the
Okay.
owner, the imagery you are creating about the owner.
Okay.
That is a myth.
The
because
idea that it generates. that
Yeah,
is the myth.
exactly.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
Acha, one very good example of connotation I'll give you from cinema. 2000 is straightforward. But the connotation, it's just one single shot is laden with meaning
Yes.
because it is talking about the progress of the entire civilization.
Humankind's
From
first
the
weapon,
primates,
the spaceship.
from weapon to the spaceship.
Yes.
Okay, so so much is connoted in one single shot of that
Yes.
bone going up.
Yes, yes.
Understood? So that is connotative. It's not said, it's not underlined, it's not articulated, verbalized.
Yes.
Okay, but it's exists in the realm of myth because it's meant to be inferred and interpreted.
Okay.
Understood? So that is connotation. Now, connotation can be of two types. One is paradigmatic connotation. Achha, what is a paradigmatic connotation? Paradigmatic connotation means that supposing I have to take your shot. Now, I can take your shot in so many ways. No, I can take a straightforward eye level shot, or I can take a low angle shot to make you look larger than life, or I can take a high angle shot to diminish your personality, to make you look punitive. Okay, or I can take your profile, or I can do some rim lighting and glorify, glamorize your image. I can take your shot in so many ways. So out of all those possibilities, I choose one particular possibility. Okay, and which conveys its own meaning. So supposing I deliberately do a low angle shot, okay, that means I am trying to enhance your personality. Okay, so the choice you make out of all the possible choices is the paradigmatic connotation.
Okay.
Understood? So supposing it rose. So these are three images of rose here. So this is also rose, this is also rose, this is also rose.
Yes.
Okay, but each image of rose has a different kind of emotional attachment to it, different kind of suggestive meaning to it.
Yes.
Each rose.
It does.
Okay, so therefore, so that emotional attachment, that suggested meaning, that implied meaning, that is the connotation. Whereas the denotation is rose.
Okay.
Got my point? So
Right.
that is the paradigmatic connotation. In paradigmatic connotation, there is a very important thing which is called a polar opposition or binary. Now, binary oppositions are fundamental operations of the human mind, basic to the production of meaning. Okay, means you will see that whenever there is light, the light will be lighter because of the darkness. Okay, a cacophony will be more pronounced because of the silence.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
A fat person will be more pronounced because there is a thin person beside. All right. So there are always these binaries in every communication. We are consciously or subconsciously we are playing with binaries. Okay, and that binary is actually bringing out the meaning of the thing.
The perspectives from comparisons.
Exactly. Okay. Say if you take Charlie Chaplin films, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Sherlock Holmes is always very sharp, whereas Dr. Watson is laid back, a little blunt. Sharp and blunt. Always these binary opposites are there. Charulata's confinement indoors and her pining for being outdoor. The openness outside. Again, there is this binary opposite. So everywhere you will see binary opposite. Two brothers in Diwar, Shashi Kapoor and Amitabh Bachchan. Binary opposites.
Yes.
Understood? One is the
Okay.
police, the other has become the criminal. So in every expression, you will see that there are these binary opposites, which actually bring out the meaning. Understood? So that is the binary. So that is also a kind of paradigmatic connotation. So now we come to syntagmatic connotation. Syntagmatic connotation is the meaning that is made in context of the what comes before and what comes after. Say for example, have you learned your arithmetic table? And another sentence, the water table in this area has gone down.
Okay.
Now when I just write the word table, T-A-B-L-E, table, it can mean anything, or maybe it means nothing. But the moment I put it in a sentence, ki have you learned your arithmetic table, it means arithmetic table. And in another sentence, it means something else completely. So this word table is getting meaning from the sentence.
The rest of the sentence.
From the rest of the sentence.
I see.
So that is the syntagmatic connotation.
I see.
And that happens in cinema also, because in cinema, the image, what comes before, what comes after, means how it is juxtaposed with the other images, the meaning comes from the juxtaposition. Okay, you know that in cinema, the meaning comes from juxtaposition, which is the syntagmatic connotation.
So nothing is independent. It all depends upon the things that come before and after it.
Absolutely. The meaning is made by what comes before and after it. Okay, so that is a syntagmatic connotation.
Fine.
So more graphically, syntagmatic connotation is shown horizontally, and paradigmatic connotation is shown vertically. Paradigmatic is out of all the choices given, you take a particular choice, and syntagmatic is that in the context of what is before, what is after, what is the meaning that is there.
Yes.
Okay, what is connoted. We come to this moving images, that movies. Now movies make meaning. Movies tell stories. That means movies are a kind of language, a meta language. They're not a language like Bengali, Hindi, English like that, but definitely there is a language, there is certain syntax, there is a certain grammar, because stories are told through movies. Meaning is made through movies.
Yes.
So without a language like quality, that cannot happen.
Yes.
So movies are said to be meta languages. Okay, and what are the elements of this meta language, which you know very well? That image size, camera angle, color scheme, the light and shadow, the mise-en-scene, the editing pattern, everything is adds to the language of the kind of lens that you use. Everything adds to the language of the visual medium. Okay. Now the point is that in cinema, signifier and signified are almost identical, because a film is so lifelike. Watching a film is not like reading a book. To read a book, you have to know the language, you have to be literate, then only a book will make sense to you.
Yes.
Whereas movie, anybody can watch a movie and get some meaning out of it, enjoy the movie, because the signifier is almost like the signified. There is very little difference between the signified and the signified.
Yes.
So it's not so much abstract, so you don't have to learn. But yeah, if you still are conscious about the language of cinema, then you can read more into it, which an ordinary person may not be able to do.
Okay.
There is a thing called metaphor. You know what is a metaphor? Metaphor is a kind of comparison. Like no man is an island, or my love is a red rose. I mean, so that is a metaphor. Okay. So metaphor is also a kind of connotation. It conveys meaning.
Okay.
Now it is difficult. It is said that cinema is not a very comfortable medium for metaphors, because everything is so literal. It means, if it is a tree, it's a tree. Where is the scope of metaphor? But in cinema also, you can have metaphor. Like, say for example, in cinema lends itself very well to another kind of connotation, which is called metonymy.
Okay.
Metonymy is again an association or a part representing the whole. Say for example, Sherlock Holmes' hat and pipe represents Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
Okay. Similarly, this Gandhiji spectacles represents Gandhiji. So that is metonymy.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And a close-up represents the entire person. Marching feet represents soldiers, disciplined soldiers.
Yes.
So cinema, because you are not showing the entire person, you are only showing part of it, part of the mise-en-scene or part of the person. So in cinema, actually, you are all the time playing with metonymy. The cinema lends itself very easily to metonymy.
Okay.
And one kind of metonymy is synecdoche, which is part representing the whole.
Oh,
like in literature, we have crown. When we say the crown, which we mean is the king or the kingdom. Have you read Shakespeare?
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're reading Shakespeare the person, but you're reading Shakespeare's work.
Yes.
Okay, so part representing the whole. So that is something we do in cinema all the time. Understood? So that is a metonymy. Intertextuality. that is also in all media, in cinema as well as in advertisement, television. All the time there is this intertextuality. Now, what is this intertextuality? It is referring to another text in that particular text. Okay, that is say for example, an adaptation is an intertextuality because you are referring to the original text. A cinematic adaptation. When you are making a parody, you are actually referring to the original work and you are parodying it. So that is an intertextuality. So there are like that layers and levels and types of intertextuality that is happening all the time. And through this intertextuality, certain images or certain words gain currency. You know, when you are borrowing plot from another film or another something you have seen before, or borrowing a theme or borrowing character traits, it can turn into a stereotype because the same thing you repeated in film after film after film. Okay, so it turns into a stereotype. So that is an intertextuality, and you understand that because you have seen it in the other films. Code is nothing but a set of rules that is joining the signs, like grammar. Like grammar. If you know the grammar, then you know you can understand English. Okay. So when you are sending a message, you have to code a message, you have to code it, and the other end, the receiver, has to decode it. So communication is all about coding and decoding. And a set of codes which are very culturally derived codes we grew up in a set of codes. You know, so that's why whenever we see a woman in white, we know, okay, she is a widow. Okay. Whenever we see this lights, diya, okay, Diwali is coming. Okay, crackers or mithai connotes Diwali. So, okay, so like that. So nobody teaches us. We grew up in that culture and we imbibe the codes, and then these codes begin to make meaning. And then when we make films, we replicate these codes. Okay. Similarly, when you are creating media text, whether it is advertisement, designing a print ad, or making a film, or making a television commercial, or writing news, you are all the time playing with codes, and you are embedding codes in your media text in order to create specific meanings. Okay. And the other end, the receiver is decoding it. But the problem is that the receiver may not decode it the way you want him to decode it. Okay. So Umberto Eco, who was again a semiotician, he had famously said that aberrant decoding is the rule of mass media. That you code the message and you give it out. Okay. How it is decoded by the viewer or the reader is entirely up to him. You do not have any hand in that. All right. So it may be an aberrant decoding, not the kind of decoding that you had expected or you had wanted him to do. And you have to keep that in mind. So aberrant decoding is the rule of the mass media. But as media scholars or media researchers or media students, we have to know how we have to deconstruct these codes, and we have to know how exactly the messages were coded and what it is doing to the subconscious of the receiver. So I think in the next episode, because there are so many things, so many aspects to semiotics, in the next episode, we will do analysis of some of these media texts. Okay, print ads, film clippings, and so on, and see how you can apply this semiotics to different kinds of media texts. So I think that is all for now. It's quite heady and quite heavy, but enjoy.